Well, look, before I specifically answer that question, I've got something very important to just tell people. We've been operating in a constantly evolving and changing environment, and we've been working hard to make improvements to our system. Only just this morning, in fact only a short time ago, we launched our intent to claim via MyGov capability. Now, what this means, and this is getting to your question, that if you're a person that has a MyGov account linked to any one of the member services, and in most instances it will be either tax or Medicare, what you can do this morning, instead of joining the queues, instead of having to ring us, is to simply go to MyGov, log in, and you will see a button which enables you to lodge an intent to claim and pass your personal information to Centrelink, and then we will contact you to steer you through the rest of the process. But what that means is you can lodge an intent to claim online. The date of effect will be Monday, last Monday, because we will be backdating to Monday, and then we will contact you to take you through the rest of the process.
Okay, so that is very good news for anyone who has a MyGov account. Go onto the website now, log on. There's a button that says intent to claim. Click on that and fill out what you can. What if you don't have a MyGov account?
Well, then now is the time to create one, and all you need to do is, once you've opened a MyGov account, then you can link it to either Medicare or the taxation office or Centrelink, and once you're linked to a member service, then that button will give you the opportunity, because by then we will have under MyGov, we'll have the information that we need to initially start the process of getting a claim moving for you.
So what information, what documentation do you need to start a MyGov account?
Look, to be really honest with you, because we've only just put these arrangements in place, I'm not familiar with what you need to open a MyGov account, but we do know that the vast majority of people that are in the workforce do have MyGov accounts, because of course that's the way in which they've been lodging their tax returns. Right. So if you've got a MyGov account and it's linked to tax, you will be able to put in this intent to claim.
Okay, so some of the biggest problems have been how you get a Centrelink number. This is a CRN number. Is this the first thing you need to do, other than creating this MyGov account?
Until just now, it was. And in fact, what we've been doing is we've actually been mobilising our phone service to enable people to ring us, sort out their ID with us over the phone, and then providing them with the CRN number, which enables them to open a Centrelink account. Now, and that's why over the past 2 days, regrettably, people have been queuing up. But in addition to that, people have been ringing that 132850 number. It's still a number worth recording if you have any other issues. But look, as of now, what we're saying is don't risk the queues. Don't try and ring us, because this intent to claim capability will mean that you're registered with us, and we will then contact you to guide you through the process.
Okay, so just to be very clear, to get a CRN number, you go on you get intent to claim, but besides that, if you don't have a MyGov account, still the only way to get a CRN number is via phone or lining up. You cannot do this online, because I just want to be very clear about this, Hank, because that was the advice yesterday and it seemed wrong.
Absolutely. Look, but again, we are discouraging people from queuing up. If you don't have a MyGov account and you're not in a position to do it now, then by all means ring us on 132850 and we will guide you through the process.
Okay.
But look, honestly, the best way to deal with this is to access your MyGov account and simply click on the button for the intent to claim.
Okay, well, you'll have to get back to us on what is actually required for the MyGov account. I don't have that information to hand, and that seemed pretty critical at this stage. So I'll just let our viewers know that when we finish this interview, I'll get you to go back and check, and maybe we can update people later this morning. Now, to be very clear as well, the website crashed yesterday. People were reporting that they were on the phone for up to 4 hours. Will that be better today?
Well, look, the other thing that we've done, of course, is increased capability in terms of the website to enable more people to access it simultaneously.
Yep.
We've also staffed up our call centre operation to the best of our ability. We've mobilised staff, we are training staff, we will be recruiting staff. This is an unprecedented situation. What I ask people to do is to be patient and persistent. Our staff are working hard to do the best they can to get people into the system.
Okay, but can I just hold you, pull you up there?
The intent to claim process is the best.
The intent to claim process, absolutely, that is clear. That is the best process if you have a MyGov account at this stage. If you don't have one, set something up. The government told us yesterday, Hank, that 5,000 more people would be put into call centres at Centrelink, trying to help out with these claims. Now, I spoke to the union this morning and they couldn't really say how many people, but it certainly wasn't 5,000 that have already gone into the system. So how many extra staff have you put on this week?
Oh, look, I don't have those those figures.
Okay.
As you can appreciate, it's a moving feast on every front. We've been working hard to simply get phones answered. We've been working hard to improve our IT capability.
Yep.
We are talking about big systems here. It's like, you know, getting an ocean liner to change direction. If people are interested, particularly former staff, if people are interested, they can register with us by going to servicesaustralia.gov.au, and there is a temp register, a temp employment register.
Okay.
You can provide us with details there, and that'll help us streamline the process as well.
All right, let's get to some of the specifics now. If you receive welfare benefits already, do you need to do anything?
No, and in fact that's been part of the problem over the past few days. People currently on benefit have been contacting us to find out when they will get the first I've just lost it there for a sec. The first stimulus payment of $750. They don't need to do anything. If you're in receipt of an eligible payment, and that's most of the payments, then we've got the information we need. The process is automatic. You don't need to do anything. You certainly don't need to contact us. Payments of $750 will roll out from the 31st of March progressively through to the 17th of April.
Okay. That is clear. If you're already in the system, do not call, do not get online because you're just clogging it up. Okay, I've got some more questions here. If you have been stood down as opposed to sacked from a job, what are you entitled to? Are they the same entitlements? Are the documentation requirements different?
No. Look, again, the government has directed us to be flexible in this space. And the government has also said that contractors, sole traders, as well as people that are stood down, will be eligible for Jobseeker payment. And that's why so many people have been trying to register their claims for Jobseeker payment.
Do you need a separation certificate if you've been stood down?
Not currently. As I said, the government has introduced new flexible arrangements. It has also waived a number of the waiting periods that would normally apply. And by registering your intent to claim, we will backdate you to Monday, assuming that that's the time at which you've been stood down or put out of work.
Okay, so you do not need a certificate You do not need that separation certificate if you've been stood down as opposed to dismissed. Here's another question from one of our viewers. If I lose my job but my partner is still working, am I entitled to anything? So the question there really, is there a family income test?
Yes, the Jobseeker payment is subject to an income test, so it really depends on the level of your partner's income as to whether or not you will be eligible. What I'd suggest that people do is go to our website, servicesaustralia.gov.au, scroll down on the front page. There's a button called Payment and Services Finder. If you click on that button and answer a few simple questions, including details of your partner's income, it'll give you an indication as to whether or not, as to what you're eligible for, and start you on that process. We also expect that a number of families who've never dealt with us in the past may also now qualify for family tax benefit, for example, and changes in income could also mean that add-on payments such as rent assistance could also be part of what you're eligible for.
Okay. Are people 2 weeks into serving a waiting period under the liquid assets test going to have the waiting period waived too?
Yes. The government has announced that those waiver periods will not be applied.
Okay, if you are a sole trader, what can you apply for?
Again, if you're a sole trader, it's the Jobseeker payment.
Right. So that is the Jobseeker payment for sole traders, and they don't need to have an extra burden of proof in terms of documentation?
Look, we'll guide people through the process. Of course, the key question is that you're no longer working or no longer receiving income. That's part of what we will verify through the process. So currently, what I'd encourage people to do, log on to MyGov, lodge your intent to claim, and we will then contact you and guide you through the process.
Okay, this is from Paul Murray viewers last night who we promoted that you're going to be on the show this morning, so let me just quickly get through a couple of these questions. This is from Tammy. Can you help New Zealanders living in Australia? Are New Zealanders living in Australia entitled to anything?
Some New Zealanders will be eligible. It is subject to residential qualifications. Again, my advice is lodge an application, lodge an intent to claim. We'll work that through with you.
Okay, from Patrick, can I access my super if my wife is working?
I'm not familiar with the super changes.
Okay.
I do know that the government. Has said that people can access up to $10,000 this financial year, and then again next financial year. But I'm not familiar with what the rules are surrounding that.
Okay, Tony Laws says currently there are huge problems with school leavers not being eligible for New Start because they have to be 22 years old. Is that right?
That's correct. However, students up to the age of, in fact, the government, when it passed the legislation, did expand the legislation to include students. So students up to the age of 22 will be eligible under the new rules.
Okay, we'll clear that up as well with the government. Is it true that this is from Karen, is it true that every bit of money in the bank has to be used before there is Centrelink help?
No longer. This is also part of the asset changes that the government has announced. We will not be looking at people's available income in assessing eligibility.
This is a question that we have seen this morning as well pop up a lot. Sarah Cornford says, how am I to report as I do every fortnight? She's obviously an existing recipient. If I can't log in or get through to the phone line, what about my bill payments due on payday?
Well, look, it's important to make the point that normal Centrelink business is quite separate to the issues that we're talking about in relation to the MyGov claiming process. People can still access their normal online services in order to provide us with income details, etc.
But do you appreciate that's not the lived experience, that people cannot get onto the website? So the government has waived these mutual obligation reporting requirements for a week. I guess you're hoping that the traffic will calm down after that?
Yes, look, that's exactly the situation. But what we're finding is that in relation to normal business, people, you know, it's almost like saying you've got two separate boxes. Normal business is happening over here. People should be able to access their normal processes for updating their income details, and the claiming process is quite separate to that. And as I said initially, you do that through MyGov.
Okay, this question you may not be able to answer. It's one of those super questions again. Will anyone taking advantage of accessing their super have their payments affected?
If you're in if you're in receipt of, let's say, an age pension, look, I think it's safer for me not to answer that.
Okay, I'll check with the government.
In the case of age pension, if you access your super, then becomes a question of what you do with that money. If, for example, you invest it elsewhere, etc., then it does have ramifications. But look, I really am not in a position to answer questions in relation to superannuation.
Okay, this is from Marilyn. Is a parent's income taken into account for a 20-year-old who lives at home and has lost his job?
Yes. The income test still applies in relation to Jobseeker payment.
Okay, this is from Gru Oldman. Do pensioners get their payment doubled like the job seekers and unemployed?
Look, pensioners are eligible for the stimulus payments. The first of those stimulus payments will be occurring in from the 31st of March and paid progressively through to the 17th of April. And then there is a second stimulus payment of $750 that will be made in July. And age pensioners will be eligible for both of those payments.
Okay, this is from Mark. He's self-employed. He's a company, not a sole trader. Does he need to fill out a separation certificate for himself?
Not so much a separation certificate. What he should do is lodge an intent to claim, as I've already outlined, and once again we will guide through the process. There will be some discussion to ensure that there's been a loss of income, and also some processes in relation to proof of identity, but we are streamlining those processes. Okay,
so just wrapping all of this up, Hank, you say that the best thing for people to do is go to MyGov, lodge an intent to claim, then Centrelink will call you back. If you don't have a MyGov account, set one up. We're trying to find the details of which to do that. The website this morning is still very slow from all reports. Lines still around Centrelink. We're getting reports back from our reporters this morning that they would like to see perhaps some Centrelink employees give forms in the line, tell them how long they're going to be lining up for. Is that on the cards?
Look, that most certainly is, because the last thing we want is for people to be queuing up unnecessarily and putting themselves at risk, particularly now that we have this intent to claim capability. Okay,
Hank, I really appreciate your time this morning. We may need to speak again in the not too distant future, but it seems that we have answered some of those pressing questions. Appreciate it.
Look, anytime, I'm more than happy to come back.